This is part one of our Shelf Unit Inventor project. We're going to build this design that you can see here, the shelf unit. The purpose of these video tutorials is to develop your skills and knowledge of Inventor as we go along, to learn the terminology and some of the processes that are used to create models and the techniques that are used in Inventor. The main purpose is to be able to create an accurate 3D models of this shelf unit in this case. We're going to look at how you create individual components, how you assemble them together, how you render an image, and how you create accurate production technical drawings which show dimensions and can be used when you produce this model for real in a workshop. So if we look at our design to begin with, what we have here is a shelf unit. It has a pine, or it could be other wood materials, but in this case it's going to be made out of pine. We've got different components here, and we have shelves here. The top shelf is an acrylic plastic, and the bottom shelf is galvanized steel with a sort of round finishing technique on it. So the first component we're going to build is the shelf top, or here. What you can see is that if you look at the final assembly one, the top and the bottom are the same, so we only need to make one version of that. Before we begin though, I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping. So I'm going to close these down because it wouldn't let you change the projects if you still have an object or a model open. So what I want to do is, the way Inventor works is we want to keep all our objects or models in the same place. So in this case I've got an E directory. I'm going to store it in a folder called Inventor. So first stage is you would create a folder in your area where you want to store that. Second stage is, if you've already closed down the splash screen that comes up at the start, go to Get Started, hit the Projects button, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new one, a new project, a single user project I'm after. Click Next. Top box is the name of it. I'm going to call it Working, and I'm going to locate that in here, Computer, Inventor. So that's the same location I showed you in Explorer earlier. So hit Next, go Finish. Now what you'll see is that I've got a little tick beside the Working, and it shows the directory that I'm looking at. So if you're using a different computer, you might have to redo that. If you're using the same one, just open the project button again, make sure that's looking where it is. So first thing we're going to look at is we're going to look at creating this shelf, the top part of the shelf unit. So I'm going to hit New, make sure that's metric, because we're working in metric. I want the standard millimeter IPT. Now I'm using Inventor 2013, but all the Inventor versions work much the same. We're looking for this IPT millimeter file format. So create that. So it creates a new box. So first stage is I'm going to create a 2D sketch. Now in this version it has these image planes already here, which is good. I want to create my models ideally in the correct orientation, so I want Y to be up. So I'm going to create my part as if it was sitting on a tabletop. So I'm going to click on that flat surface there, and I'm going to draw out a rectangle with the rectangle tool. So I have a sketch of my components, so I've worked out what the dimensions are going to be. and this is drawn. This is a freehand sketch, but the dimensioning is using the standard British standards conventions. In this case, it's not to scale, but it does show I've got a top, sides, and the two shelves. So I'm referring to that point while I work. So first stage is I'm going to start dimensioning this rectangle so it's the correct size. I hit the dimension tool, drag off, click on the line, drag it up, and it's 250 wide. So we're working in millimeters, so it knows that already. If your screen sort of expands large and that you can't see anything, click on the magnifying glass on the side there, or you can use the middle wheel to wind that in. So hit escape, that takes you off the current tool, and you can drag these dimensions around until you're happy with its position. So next stage I'm looking for 70 wide, so I click on the line, 70 millimeters. Now I've got my basic size. So if I click finish sketch, that gives me a 3D view, and now I know that I'm working in 3D. So I'm going to use the extrude button or function to make this 3D. Now I want a 12 millimeter thickness of wood, so I click on that, and now I have my basic shape. So next stage is, if I still got that open, no. If I open my finished example again, now as you can see I've got different components here. We are going to create this as if it's a real wood joint, so it has a little notch or piece taken out of that in this rebate joint. So basically that slot that's taken out of there is the same width as the wood that we're going to put in there. So in this case what I want to do is I want to create a second 2D sketch to take out those notches, and I'm going to create a rectangle on that side to take it away, and I'm going to create a rectangle on that side to take away a piece. So again, dimension tools, so you can either use the lines, or you can you press on the corners, that also is useful. So I'm going to change that to 12, because that's the thickness of the wood, and also I'm going to change this to 6, which is the thickness. If for some reason that the original sketch, for some reason that's moved, so I'm just going to hit escape to get off that. I can delete individual lines, or I can select them all and delete them, but I'm going to draw that again because it's not in the right place. So new rectangle, dimensions, so I know that's needs to be 12. Right, for some reason that's jumping over the side. The easiest way to fix that is just to put a 0 dimension on that side. Again, I'm going to put that one as 6 there. So I don't really want that dimension, so I'm just going to delete that. So now I've got two rectangles showing the piece I want to take off. So I can finish that sketch, and now I want to take away that section. So I'm going to use the extrude function again. So click on that. At the same time, I only want one extrude function in my browser list here. So I know that width is 70 millimeters, so I can put 70 in here, and along here you've got this button here with the arrows, and that reverses the direction, so I can do it now, and visually I can see that's in the right place. Hit OK, and now I have my basic shelf shape. So just to look at your file so far, is that what I'll also do before I forget is I'm going to save this. So save it, just top left hand corner, you've got this Pro button, or this I button in this case. You can either hit the floppy disk to save, or say top left hand corner, press save. So I'm going to call this one Shelf Unit Top. So what I would suggest strongly is that if you're working on projects, make sure you name your parts sensibly. It makes it a lot easier when you come to assemble them, and also if you've got 20 objects named Part 1 or Part 1, 2, Part 2, 3, etc., it's very difficult to work out what goes with what. So once you make a number of variations, stuff like, make sure it's got a sensible name. So Shelf Unit Top, save that. So it tells you up here. So just in Inventor, there's two options for this. If you click on that little square button, it gives you full screen. Personally, I prefer it like that, so I can see the name of the object at the top. That doesn't really make an awful difference as far as the size of it goes. If you look on the left here, this is called the browser window, and we can see if you roll your mouse over the top of that, it gives you information on what you've done so far. So to go through this, we've got our original sketch, which you can see there. If you highlight it, you can get the dimensions of that. If you want to edit that, over the top of it, edit sketch. That allows you to make alterations, for example the width of that. Next stage is, you can see that I've got an extrusion. That was the thickness of my wood. If I double click on that, you can change that as well. Second one, I've got my second sketch. So again, edit sketch, and I can see my two rectangles that I've placed there. And similarly, I've got my extrusion. So I double click on that, I can make that adjustment. But basically from that, I can see I've got one sketch for my basic shape, and I've got one sketch for my ends above. You can do this with two sketches to do this separately, but there's no reason to do that, and it just makes it a bit neater. The less of this you have on the left, the easier it is to navigate it. So that is the first stage, or the first component we've got complete.